Pentagon Jr. is finally in the WWE, and we got a new women's intercontinental champion. Let's talk about it.
The Rock says, The Rock says,
Welcome back to another episode of FPW, the Flash Pro Wrestling Show. I am your host, Chris Flash, and here we talk pro wrestling. So let's get into this Raw review. First of all, I don't know. So we know that WWE and Netflix, they done pretty much set this precedent that they don't really have a defined stop time because there's no network involved, right? It's streaming, so they can go pretty much as long as they want to. So when you're watching Raw on Netflix, be prepared to not know what time it's going to end, right? Because it might go 3 hours. It might go the regular 2 hours. This time it went 2.5 hours. So we're just trying to figure things out over here. We really don't know. But like I said, Pentagon Jr. has finally arrived in WWE. But before we get to that, let's get to the way this show opened. So the show opened up with CM Punk coming out, greeting the crowd, doing his whole spiel, and he announces himself for the Royal Rumble. And he kind of calls out John Cena. So he kind of made a hint that he could be one of the matches that John Cena has on his farewell tour, which I'm not going to lie, I kind of want to see that. But right after that, you had Seth Rollins, naturally, coming out to interrupt that. And he drops a line saying that he would much rather be the worst version of himself than be any version of CM Punk. So there's still a lot of animosity there. So Seth Rollins then goes and declares himself for the Royal Rumble. And you think that's it? No. Drew McIntyre comes out and does the exact same thing. Now, Drew continuously brings up everything that's going on with Roman Reigns and the rest of the bloodline and how Roman is now the tribal chief again, and basically saying that, you know, Seth Rollins should have came out and helped in the prevention of that happening. You know, we did see Kevin Owens attack Roman during that match, and Drew claims that he had Jay at bay because he had him focusing on the match that they had later on that night. And so Seth should have came out and made the numbers game go against Roman to ensure that he does not get the ultimate power of the Ula Fala back. It's kind of given obsession. He's kind of becoming obsessed with this whole thing. Like, at this point, just let Drew and Roman have their rematch. They haven't had a match since Clash at the Castle all those years ago, and it's really weighing on the psyche of Drew McIntyre. And I think it's finally time to go ahead and let this be probably Roman's next big feud before he gets to CM Punk. CM Punk, I personally feel like CM Punk and Seth Rollins needs to happen at WrestleMania. We didn't get it last year due to an injury. But both guys are as healthy as they can be right now in their careers. Let them go ahead and do it. We don't need CM Punk versus Roman Reigns, really. I mean, yeah, there's some interesting character developments, but the whole core around that would just be Roman Reigns, be Paul Heyman. And let's be honest, the only reason why we really want to see that feud ultimately is because of the promos they would put on. The match would be good, but CM Punk has had some of the best feuds of his career since returning to pro wrestling, whether it be MJF. I definitely enjoyed the Samoa Joe feud that he had, and now you got everything that he's done with Drew McIntyre, which is arguably the feud of the year last year, and now you got Seth Rollins. So just let them culminate at WrestleMania. Like I said, do the exact same thing they're supposed to do last year. So after that segment comes and goes, now we get the entrance of Chad Gable and the rest of American Made. Everyone knew going into this match that it was going to be Penta. They pretty much announced it the week before that Penta was going to be arriving. They did the whole, well, you're going to have to go against a luchador who is arguably the greatest luchador of all time, yada, yada, yada. And right before Raw, they announced the merchandise of Penta on Instagram. So there was no surprise, shocking debut here. And I guess because they wanted to, again, bring more eyeballs onto the Netflix broadcast. And if you didn't already know who Penta was, more eyeballs will be put onto him because of this. And let me just say, if you don't know who Penta was before this match, go look him up. Younger Penta, all through his career, is incredible, especially when he teams up with Rey Fenix. insane. Go back and watch everything him and the Lucha Bros have done in AEW. Him and those guys and the Young Bucks put on classic matches like it was nobody's business, right? But this match was more than what I really expected for it to be. I thought it was going to be kind of like what Sin Cara did when he debuted. Granted, he botched his debut, and I'm always nervous when high flyers or luchadors make their debut in WWE because I'm kind of traumatized from the whole Sin Cara thing. You know what I mean? And so many things, even though they are masters at what they do, but freak accidents happen. You know what I mean? And when you botch a luchador move or there's miscommunication anywhere involved, that can not only hurt someone in the ring, but it can hurt, the career of that luchador. And you know what I mean? I'm always kind of watching it with one eye open, but Penta again is a master at what he does. He is one of the greatest luchadors in the world right now, and this match was the perfect meshing of styles. It was kind of like watching a another version, right, of Rey Mysterio and Kurt Angle. Granted, Rey Mysterio is like half the size of, well, everyone, but specifically Penta. And even though they try, ultimately, Chad Gable is not Kurt Angle. So loosely, it was like watching that all over again. And these guys meshed perfectly. Chemistry was on point. He hits a Canadian destroyer, which they call the Mexican destroyer. And we all know that you can't have a Penta match, right, without seeing a destroyer somewhere in there. And this was probably the best sale I have ever seen of a Canadian destroyer ever. I mean, Chad got planted straight up and down like a flagpole, and he didn't just fall over. He bounced up and then went straight into a face plant. Beautiful. Honestly, I thought the match was over right then, but of course, he had to get him up, hit him with the Penta driver, 1, 2, 3. And I love this because I honestly don't feel like it hurts Chad in any kind of way. Chad is still amazing in the ring. And, while they try, at this point, I feel like Chad is just like enhancement talent. Anybody that comes in that's new, needs to make a name for themselves, and just needs a good match against somebody, Chad's Mr. Reliable. He's exactly what Dolph Ziggler was. And, even though they put the world title on Dolph at 2 different times, I don't see a universe where Chad will be a world champion. But, I don't think he really necessarily needs to be. Maybe Intercontinental Champion one day, just to, because he is a workhorse. But he's so skilled in the ring and being able to make other talent look good, especially high flyers. I don't think it's necessary that you need to put a title on him per se. But again, amazing match. Penta, he cuts a very emotional promo after the match and basically says that this is the Penta era of WWE. So I'm interested to see what they do with him. Please keep him as far away from the LWO as possible. I'm so scared that because they already wanted to team him with Ray, and they interviewed Ray about Penta after the show, and part of me feels like they're gonna team Ray and Penta together, and just make him be a singles guy until you bring Ray Phoenix. I don't want to see Penta and Ray because where's it gonna go? If you put the tag team titles on them, what interesting stories can they really have? What are you gonna have? Who's the Raw tag team champions? Penta and Ray going up against the Viking Raiders? Okay, I mean maybe it could be a good match. With a difference in styles. It'd be a fun match, but where's the story? I'm a sucker for story. If you can't tell me a story, I don't really particularly always care about the match. Now some matches are good enough to where they don't need stories. I don't think Ray, Penta, and Viking Raiders are gonna be that level of match to where, I'm with it regardless of the story that y'all telling. And so this match really was just that. I mean, this show was really just that. It was a lot of, declaring for the Royal Rumble. Nia comes out and interrupts Rhea Ripley and says that she's going to be in the Royal Rumble. Bayley says she's going to be in the Royal Rumble. And, I'm thinking that we were gonna get a return of Becky Lynch during this whole segment, which we didn't. And, I thought that, since she was supposed to make her debut, well, her return, last week on the debut episode of Raw, that it would happen this week since Penta was on this episode. They had the finals of the Intercontinental Championship tournament. You would have a big return like this for Becky, but I think they're going to be holding that now. It kind of seems like for the Royal Rumble, which I mean that's a show that's pretty much tailored for big time returns and debuts. So yeah, I get it. I totally understand that. Now, into the finals of the Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament, they were really boosting this thing all night, showing different vignettes from both women. But you could kind of feel, and maybe just me, but you could kind of feel that, Laura Valkyria was gonna be, excuse me, Lyra Valkyria was gonna be the one to win this thing here. When you look over at SmackDown, you kind of have more of a fun entertainment focused champion in Chelsea Green, not the more wrestling based, Michin, right? On this one, the Intercontinental Championship, you want to have someone that, well, both of those women were their foundation is, the mat game. It is the in ring work. Outside of that, their character is kind of, one is in a faction with a bunch of Japanese women, and the other one is friends with Becky Lynch. That's pretty much it. But they've been really trying to build up Lyra. I keep on getting her name wrong. Lyra, since NXT, since she won the NXT Women's Championship, and once she lost it, the presentation they gave her, and pairing her up with people like a Becky Lynch, you could kind of tell that they were. Once I saw the finals of it, I thought Io Shirai was going to take the whole thing once she took place of Kyrie. I just knew it was going to be Io, but when you look at how SmackDown did theirs, none of the big stars were in the finals. All of them lost during the tournament, and did the exact same thing on Raw. And it makes sense. If you're going to be introducing a new title, make some new stars. You know what I mean? I like it. So because of that, a lot of people online are kind of frustrated that it's not Dakota Kai that wins it. I don't think that there's anything to worry about because there's still, there's somebody has to beat Lyra for it. And so this could build a feud between Dakota Kai and Lyra, even though they kind of have had a embracing moment after the match. There's still time to, build this heel character because I think technically Dakota is supposed to be a heel. I think well, maybe not, because I think EO is a babyface now, so that would mean Damage Control would have to be babyface. I don't know, but if we take Damage Control out of it, there's still time to build a heel character in Dakota and have her have a feud, at least going into Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber with Lyra. And this can be the way that you can, get the title off of her and, set up some new feuds for new stars. So I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I mean, I'm interested to see what Lyra can do with a championship. She did well as NXT Women's Champion. Never really got super over with the crowd, like, as you would compare her to a Roxanne Perez, or interested to see what Julia is going to do over there. But yeah, with Lyra, I think it's an interesting thing to see. I say let it play out and let's see what she does. So next up, we got Jey Uso coming out, and he interrupts Gunther, and he basically challenges Gunther for a match at Saturday night's main event. I knew that in some way the main event was going to have to be Jey Uso because, one, he's on the cover, his nickname is Main Event, and the show is called Main Event. So, duh, right? But Gunther makes a good point when he says Main Event is just a nickname for you. Main Event is a standard for me. And they've had 2 matches where it was for the championship. Now, he couldn't beat Gunther. People say the rumor is that he was supposed to beat Gunther for the IC championship, back when they had their match on Raw. It didn't happen, so whatever. It doesn't matter what was supposed to happen. It didn't happen. So he didn't beat Gunther then, and then they had a match for the World Heavyweight Championship, and they didn't. Wait, did they have a match for the World Heavyweight Championship, or were both of them for the IC? I think both of them were for the IC, now that I think about it. So I'm really hoping, and I doubt they're going to do it. I sincerely doubt they're going to have Jey Uso become World Heavyweight Champion at the top of 2025 over Gunther. Because once you put the title on him and you get the initial pop out of it, what kind of world champion would Jey Uso be? And I go on this rant a lot. And it's not that I don't like Jey Uso. I just don't think Jey Uso is world championship material. I personally don't think Jey Uso is singles title material. He has a catchphrase. He's definitely over because Yeet is over. But when the guy cuts a promo, he looks uncomfortable. He's walking back and forth in the ring like he's a caged animal. He never seems comfortable when he's cutting a promo. And the same thing happens here. He tries to cut this emotional promo saying that I wake up every morning and I'm trying to earn my respect, man, and wiping his face. I'm like, bro, are you supposed to be crying? Like what? I don't know. There's a disconnect for me. You know what I mean? I would much rather see him and his brother reunite. And I don't mean this, I'm Jimmy Uso, you're Jey Uso, we're the Usos. I want the Usos back. I want the tag team unit of the Usos back. I don't care about them as singles competitors. I know I'm being selfish. Who cares? It's my show. It doesn't matter what Jimmy does by himself. It doesn't matter what Jey does by himself. This is really just a way for Samoan supremacy to keep on going throughout the WWE because you got Jey and maybe Roman on Raw. You got Solo and the rest of his bloodline and Jimmy on SmackDown. So it's just a way for the bloodline to take over both shows. But I want these guys back. I want my Usos. I want my day one-ish. You know what I'm saying? I want them to come out with the shirts and with the hats and the J's and I want that back. Jey is already using the Usos old music. Just take the whole it's on me and it's just me, Us. Take that away. Give me back my down since day one-ish. That's all I'm asking. That's really all I'm asking. So I'm praying that Gunther, the Ring General, retains as Saturday night's main event. Spoiler for my predictions episode, but yes, I am definitely pulling for Gunther on this one. And I might get cussed out in the comments. That's fine, but please don't put that world title on Jey. Next up, so we have Sheamus taking on Ludwig Kaiser, and he beats him in a pretty hard-hitting match. They've had great matches in the past, so the way they framed it out is if this was going to be the end of their feud. I doubt it. I'm pretty sure they're going to have some sort of meetup in the Royal Rumble again, and maybe one of them will eliminate the other. Who knows? But I think Ludwig needs a feud that he actually wins. It's going to be difficult building him after so many losses, especially if you continue to connect him to Gunther, unless you're going to have Gunther turn on Ludwig and go completely solo. And you're going to completely revamp the character that is Ludwig Kaiser. If that's the route you're going, maybe, but you're going to have a pretty tall tale of rebuilding this guy from scratch. But if anybody can do it, it is WWE, right? So I don't really know how I feel about what they announced for Saturday night's main event, which is Sheamus against Braun Breaker for the IC title. At this point, if you're not going to put the title on Sheamus, what are we doing? He's been chasing that title for what? Since before WrestleMania 39. We're going into WrestleMania 41. So at this point, if you're not going to put the title on him, even if you put it on him and then take it off of him a couple weeks later, I don't want him to be a transitional champion, but just put the title on him, for God's sake. Braun Breaker does not, his stock does not drop if he loses the title to Sheamus. Sheamus looks old, beat up, and it's time for him to go if he continues to go for the one championship that he hasn't won and he can't win it. Just if you're gonna do it, pull the trigger now. That can be your big title change. That can be your go home happy moment for Sheamus. And like I said, just put the title back on Braun, maybe at the Rumble or at Chamber or a random episode of Raw. Who cares? But again, if you're gonna pull the trigger on this one, go ahead and do it. Get it over with, and let this guy be a Grand Slam champion. I mean, what else are you waiting for? Damian Priest going up against Finn Balor to finally finish their feud in a street fight. This match was way more than what I thought it was going to be. They opened the match within 5 minutes. You had both guys. You had Damian Priest hitting a broken arrow to Finn Balor out of the stands through 2 tables. So they go to they go to commercial break. They come back. Finn Balor's on a stretcher. I'm like, yo, okay, this took a turn that I was not expecting. Like, is this an angle? Because Finn is the heel. So what? I had no idea what I was watching, but you know, I'm thinking that maybe something happened, so they're about to go home and rush off air. But no, luckily it was all part of the angle. So Damian goes out, he takes out, you know, the Judgment Day, and he unlatches Finn while he's still in the stretcher, rolls him down the ramp, and I mean, I don't know if he did this on purpose, but if he didn't, it was perfect timing either way. He pushed him down the ramp. The stretcher turns and it perfectly rolls Finn into the ring. I mean, it was absolutely perfect. And so they go on to have another 10-minute match, give or take. And I mean, there was interference shenanigans from the Judgment Day. The Viking Raiders come out and even the odds. Let me see. And so much happened here. There was a razor's edge through one of the tables, and then there was a coup de grace through the other table. Those 2 tables set outside. There was kendo sticks. It was insane. Normally, I would see this match on paper. I'm like, there's no way that's the main event. They put on a pretty solid show for this to be the main event. It kind of went off air. I hate that kind of like draw that they do off, you know, going to the black screen, because it kind of feels like someone's about to come out, and then until you see the new credits that come up now, you really don't know if the show is truly over. So you're just sitting there like watching them celebrate, like, okay, I don't know what the stop time is, so we could go to 12 o'clock really, and there's no, you know, there's no rules, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, this match was way more than I expected. And it wasn't like, I wouldn't consider it to be a 5-star match by any means, right? It wasn't Kenny Omega versus Dave Kidd. Was his name Dave Kidd or something like that? But their match was fantastic. But this match was, you know, it was what it needed to be to hopefully end this feud and keep Damian Priest away from the Judgment Day, at least until the Rumble. Like, have them kind of have a stare down at the Rumble or whatever, but make this feud be over, right? There's no more championships in the Judgment Day. And that would be a good time to kind of split them off and kind of have them do their own thing. That's just my opinion. So that's it for this week's episode of Raw. It was a pretty good episode. I am happy with their choice on who won the Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament. I'm interested to see what they're going to do with Sheamus and Braun Breaker. This whole thing with Drew, CM Punk, and Seth, I am really sinking my teeth into. I want to see how they're going to continue to tell those stories, because those guys are putting on some of the best work on Monday Night Raw. Hopefully they begin to take Gunther more serious, especially as your key champion on this flagship show on Netflix. There should be a lot more emphasis on who Gunther is, in my opinion. But you guys let me know down in the comments what you guys thought of this episode. Do not forget to like and subscribe and join the Flash family. I'll see you guys down the road. And as always, be safe, be blessed, be kind. Peace.
The Rock says